Deepfreeze.it is now live and serving the public. What is deepfreeze? Deepfreeze is a website that serves the public by providing them with information on the practices of particular games journalists. From simple clickbait and sensationalism to actual conflicts of interest, the site provides you with information pertinent to your decision whether to trust these journalists and writers or not. I think this is a fantastic resource made by gamers for gamers, and I back it 100%. This is a pinnacle of consumer action in my eyes. It is absolutely in the public's interest to share the information held on this site. So, naturally, various writers and journalists are very angry and upset about this, and they're throwing their toys out of the pram. Video game critic Brendan Keogh encourages people to talk about this site but not share it. Talk but do not look. Tell people that it's a hit list but do not allow them to see it. This is someone who is meant to be serving the public, directly acting against their interests and trying to attack them because they've set up a site criticizing his friends that may also criticize him. Brendan: "You disgust me." Writer Tarek Musa says, "This is public shaming for actions you incorrectly think are wrong. This is no such thing," if he actually cared to read the about page that describes what the website does. Additionally, if he had clicked the link made available in that entry, he would have seen the relevance of this point. Apparently, it is done in the games journalism industry to deliberately lowball a game for any reason, just to get a bit of attention when people are surprised. Whether Arthur Gies did that or not, people should be allowed to know that that is something that's done. Maybe he did it. They should be allowed to see information that will allow them to consider that. It is not claiming that he did, but rather encouraging skepticism of press, something that you are clearly in a position to be against. He also says, if you're going to be an ethics watchdog, you need to tell us what your ethics is based on. They never claimed any such thing. They're allowing you to act as your own ethics watchdog by simply providing you with information that you might consider significant. They are empowering the public, something this man seems to be vehemently opposed to. That's pretty suspicious, right? A writer opposed to the public being empowered. Believe it or not, it gets worse. Tarek Musa prioritizes income over serving the public above all else, to the point of presenting a straw man. I don't believe anyone asked for recusal in that situation, merely that it's disclosed. That doesn't even cost you money. This guy's got dollar signs in his eyes preventing him from being able to see. So maybe it's an accident that he's swinging his fists at the public who for once have decided to try to question those with a platform and power. If it's not a mistake, I'd suggest that this man is a spineless worm. Game critic Scott Nichols is bragging about how prolific he is. He's also mocking the idea of a site that will allow people to be more critical of him. Why would you do that? Can you trust someone who would be against the idea of serving the public and making sure they're informed? This in itself is a reason to disregard anything he writes. Who would he be serving? He obviously holds great contempt for the general public, so we can only presume himself or friends behind the scenes. You know what though? I think he's just an asshole. An interesting exception to this trend is Tech Raptor journalist Georgina Young. She has offered up an ethical failing of her own to be added to the site. Kind of weird to do, and that's probably why she said it, to prove herself as someone who wants to serve the public. Fantastic. I love the idea of journalists proving themselves. You don't have to serve the public, but people should be allowed to figure out for themselves whether they think you do or not. Why would they want to read the writing of someone who is actively acting against their interests? You might say, well, people have different opinions. What if you can show that maybe their little opinion piece actually exists to influence you towards buying stuff? That sort of ruins the trust. Why would you want to read that? That's basically what native advertising is. That's why sites like these are important, and that's why people who don't act in the public interest are against them. They don't want that in your mind. They want you to trust them. No, they need you to trust them for their income. If you really are serving the public and they can trust you, wouldn't you be able to prove that? Wouldn't you want to show that? Wouldn't you be open to them criticizing you and compiling information that might show otherwise to the general public? What would your response be if you weren't really serving the public and you were trying to manipulate them rather than inform and encourage them to think? Wouldn't you want something showing, possibly otherwise, to just disappear? Consider very carefully the writers and journalists' reactions to this website. What does that mean about them? The ones who try to stop it, or stop people from seeing it, or ridicule it, or even destroy it, I would suggest are the most suspicious and need looking at very closely. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.